Good morning. Today is November 5th. The election day is finally here after all this campaigning and debates and whatever. It's just been a crazy year. We'll see what's going to happen today and pray for peace. Amen. Pray, number one, that God's will be done. We need to understand that God is the one who appoints leaders. We're involved with an election, but don't think for a moment that God isn't in control. But whatever happens, we need to obey the scriptures and know that we're told in Romans 13 to obey the governing authorities and to honor them and pray. We're told to pray for the king, the president, whoever it is. And of course, we want a leadership that will honor God. And so that's what we're going to pray. We'll pray today, and that whoever wins will honor God, and we'll just pray for peace. That whoever loses will concede gracefully. That's all that we need to pray for. Today we are in John chapter 10. We've been looking at the first 13 verses yesterday and talking about the Good Shepherd, and continue today reading verses 14 through 21. Jesus is speaking here, and he says, "I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also. And they will listen to my voice, so that there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up again. This charge I have received from my Father." There was again a division among the Jews because of these words. Many of them said, he has a demon and is insane. Why listen to him? Others said, "These are not the words of one who is oppressed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind?" My sheep hear my voice, and then I know them and they know me. So Jesus is referring to the people of God, that those whom the Father has given him, those who are the elect, those chosen by God, they will hear his voice. And he talks about sheep from another how does he word it? Not of this fold. Well, he's referring there to the Gentiles. See, here he's speaking to the Jews, but he's also referring to the fact that he's going to call the sheep from another fold, the fold of the Gentiles, and they're going to be united into one flock, made up of every kindred, tribe, tongue, and nation, the scriptures tell us. And we will be a holy people, a royal priesthood. And so Jesus is talking about the church and what its makeup will be. But then he also talks about, why does the Father love him? He says, "For this reason the Father loves me." because I lay down my life for the sheep. He says, I lay it down that I might take it up again. He's referring to his death, burial, and resurrection. And he says, because he willingly obeys the Father and does this, that's why the Father loves him. That's why the Father honors him. And of course, these words caused a division. Oh, he's crazy. He has a demon. And others, these are not the ravings of a madman. If that were true, how could he raise someone, or how could he give sight to someone who was born blind? And so we see that the gospel itself, the good news of Jesus Christ, is divisive. It's beautiful, it's glorious to those who receive it, but to those whose eyes are blinded by the God of this age, to those whose hearts are hardened to the seed of the gospel, it's foolishness to them who are perishing. So, what is the application for us? Well, I think the big thing that stands out is that we understand that Jesus is the Good Shepherd. He knows us and we know him. You know, we had some folks from our church came up, and our church were allowed so many messengers to come to the Baptist State Convention, our annual meeting here in Greensboro for North Carolina. And we were talking last night at dinner. And the thing that we were discussing, well, we talked about a lot of things, but it was really good and it was encouraging, because one of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that, you know, there are a lot of things that God has revealed to us that are clear and we understand them and we know. But there's also an aspect of God that's, well, let's just say, one of the things that is amazing about God is the mystery. You know, we see him through a glass dimly. We see just a small piece of the picture. We don't see the whole thing. God, being infinite and all wise and all knowing, he sees the beginning from the end and everything in between. And I heard a man, I don't remember who it was, but some years ago I heard the statement that if we knew everything there was to know about God, he wouldn't be God. That one of the things that makes God is his transcendence. The fact that he is infinite, whereas we are finite. And just the fact that the infinite has come down and walked among us. The one who transcends everything, who created everything with the word of his mouth, came down and lived among us and walked among us and desires a relationship with us is profound. It's amazing that the God of the universe wants to have a relationship with us like a shepherd and his sheep. I mean, there's an intimacy here. He knows us, he calls us by name, and we know him. And I suspect that we know him about as well as a sheep would understand his shepherd. What does he know about him? He knows that he cares for me, he takes care of me, I can trust him because he leads me and he feeds me and he protects me. I was so grieved yesterday. We had to put down our our golden retriever, Gucci, who, if you don't know the story, our daughter Rebecca picked him out of the litter and named him. I'd never name a dog Gucci. And they put a little collar on him with his name on it. And as soon as he was going to be weaned, we were going to bring him home, and he was going to be her therapy dog. Well, as you know, Rebecca was killed, and she got hit by a car. She died almost 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years ago in March. And her funeral was on a Sunday, and we brought him home on Tuesday of that same week. And so he's been our therapy dog for all this time. And I bawled my head off a lot yesterday as we had put him down. He had kidney failure and pancreas was, we don't know if it was cancer or what, but he was just really bad. And my wife, we did a video call, and I was watching, and I called his name, and I saw his eyes look at the phone. I saw him look toward me, and I just, said goodbye. And I don't know. Obviously, he didn't know me in the sense of knowing, like we know an individual or we know a person. But that's the thing that makes it hard when you lose a pet. Is that even if he knew all my flaws, he would still, when I would come home, when he would see me, he would wag his tail, he would come to me, and he would love me. And it was unconditional, and that's he was our baby, and I was his daddy, my wife was his mommy, and I think about the Father's love. The Father's love for us. To think that his Son died to redeem us from our sin. And Jesus hung on that cross, and he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? He was so alone as he bore our sins in his body on that cross. He was so alone. And yet he willingly suffered. He willingly died in our place to redeem us from our sin, to give us everlasting life if we just place our faith in him. And because he lives, we too shall live. But to reject that gift, to reject Christ, as these here in the passage we just read did, saying some said he had a demon, he's crazy. To reject that love is the ultimate offense. It's the unforgivable sin. There's no redemption for that. There's no forgiveness without placing our faith in the one that the Father sent to save us. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He knows them and they know him. How do we apply this to our life? Do you love him? Do you love him? He said yesterday, as we read in verse 10, that he came to give us life, and that more abundantly. Well, I forget the exact verse. It's in the Psalms, I'm sure. But the psalmist said, I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than to have an exalted place among the wicked. Excuse me. What does that mean? It means, excuse me, it means that the abundant life has nothing to do with this wicked world. The abundant life has to do with being in the presence of God. So just think about it today. I know John Piper made a statement in one of his books, and I have it in a plaque in my study. God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied with him. When that abundant life consists of, I just want a closer walk with Jesus, that's what's most glorifying to God. And that's what he wants for us. More of him. More of him. Do you love your shepherd? How closely are you following him? Are you listening, straining to hear his voice call? If not, take some time to be quiet and listen and strain to hear his voice. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a blessed day. We'll see you again tomorrow.